Imagine a world where humans possess a unique ability, one that sets us apart from every other species on Earth. What if I told you that our bodies have the potential to adapt to energy weapons? Sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But what if this isn't just fiction? What if there's scientific evidence and historical accounts that suggest humans might be the only known species capable of such an extraordinary feat? Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and controversial topics, the idea that humans could adapt to energy weapons. Why is this important? Because it challenges our understanding of human biology, evolution, and even the future of warfare. So, buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride. To start, let's define what we mean by energy weapons. These are devices that use concentrated energy like lasers, microwaves, or particle beams to cause damage or incapacitate targets. They're not just the stuff of science fiction. Energy weapons are real, and they're being developed by militaries around the world. But here's where it gets interesting. While energy weapons are designed to harm, some researchers believe that humans might have the biological capacity to adapt to them over time. This idea isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. Humans have a long history of adapting to extreme environments and threats. From surviving in freezing Arctic temperatures to enduring the scorching heat of deserts, our bodies are remarkably resilient. But could this resilience extend to something as futuristic and destructive as energy weapons? Let's take a step back and look at the science behind human adaptation. Our bodies are incredibly adaptable machines. When exposed to new stressors, whether it's high altitudes, intense physical training, or even radiation, our cells, tissues, and organs can undergo changes to better cope with these challenges. This process is known as adaptive response. For example, when astronauts spend time in space, their bodies adapt to microgravity by losing bone density and muscle mass. But upon returning to Earth, their bodies gradually readjust. Similarly, people living in high-altitude regions develop more red blood cells to compensate for lower oxygen levels. These examples show that human biology is far more flexible than we often realize. But could this adaptability extend to energy-based threats? One of the most compelling pieces of evidence comes from studies on low-level radiation exposure. Researchers have found that small doses of radiation can actually trigger a protective response in human cells, a phenomenon known as radiation hormesis. This means that, in some cases, low-level exposure can make cells more resistant to higher doses of radiation in the future. While this doesn't mean humans are immune to radiation, it does suggest that our bodies have mechanisms to mitigate damage. Could a similar principle apply to other forms of energy, like lasers or microwaves? Some scientists think so. They argue that repeated exposure to low-intensity energy weapons might train the body to develop resistance over time. But before we get too excited, let's look at the challenges and controversies surrounding this idea. First, there's the question of scale. Energy weapons are designed to deliver concentrated bursts of energy that can cause immediate harm. Even if the body could adapt to low-level exposure, it's unclear whether this would translate to protection against the intense energy levels used in actual weapons. Second, there's the ethical dilemma. Testing the limits of human adaptation to energy weapons would require exposing people to potentially harmful conditions, raising serious moral and legal concerns. And finally, there's the debate over whether such adaptation is even possible. While some researchers are optimistic, others argue that the destructive power of energy weapons is simply too great for any biological system to withstand. So, where does this leave us? For now, the idea that humans could adapt to energy weapons remains a fascinating but unproven hypothesis. But it's a hypothesis that opens up a world of possibilities and questions. What does this mean for the future of warfare? Could soldiers one day be trained to withstand energy-based attacks? And what does this say about the limits or lack thereof of human potential? These are the questions we'll explore as we dive deeper into this topic. But before we go any further, let's take a closer look at the historical and scientific evidence that has sparked this intriguing debate. Now that we've laid the groundwork, let's dive deeper into the historical and scientific evidence that suggests humans might have the potential to adapt to energy weapons. To understand this, we need to explore how humans have historically adapted to extreme conditions and how these adaptations might apply to energy-based threats. One of the most striking examples of human adaptability comes from our ability to survive in environments with high levels of natural radiation. Take, for instance, the city of Ramsar in Iran, where residents are exposed to background radiation levels that are significantly higher than the global average, up to 80 times higher in some areas. Despite this, the people of Ramsar show no increased incidence of radiation-related illnesses. In fact, some studies suggest that their bodies may have developed a form of resistance to radiation damage. This phenomenon has sparked interest among scientists studying how humans might adapt to other forms of energy exposure. But radiation is just one piece of the puzzle. Let's talk about another fascinating example: the human body's response to extreme heat. In regions like the Sahara Desert or Death Valley, temperatures can soar to life-threatening levels. Yet, indigenous populations in these areas have evolved physiological adaptations to cope with the heat. Their bodies sweat more efficiently, their blood vessels dilate to release heat, and they've even developed behavioral strategies to avoid overheating. This ability to adapt to extreme thermal energy raises an intriguing question: if humans can adapt to natural forms of energy, could we also adapt to artificial energy sources, like those used in energy weapons? To answer this, we need to look at how energy weapons work and how they interact with the human body. Energy weapons, such as directed energy lasers or microwave-based systems, operate by delivering concentrated bursts of energy to a target. This energy can cause burns, disrupt cellular function, or even interfere with the nervous system. At first glance, it might seem impossible for the human body to withstand such attacks. But here's where things get interesting. Some researchers believe that repeated exposure to low-intensity energy could trigger adaptive responses in the body. For example, studies on electromagnetic field (EMF) exposure have shown that cells can develop resistance to certain frequencies of energy over time. This has led to the theory that controlled, low-level exposure to energy weapons might train the body to better withstand higher-intensity attacks. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. While these ideas are intriguing, they're still largely speculative. One of the biggest challenges is the lack of direct research on human adaptation to energy weapons. Most studies in this area focus on the harmful effects of energy exposure, not the potential for adaptation. For example, research on microwave radiation has primarily examined its ability to cause tissue damage or disrupt brain function. Similarly, studies on laser exposure have focused on its use in medical procedures or its potential to cause eye damage. What's missing is a systematic investigation into whether the human body could develop protective mechanisms against these forms of energy. This gap in research raises another important question: why hasn't this been studied more extensively? Part of the answer lies in the ethical and practical challenges of conducting such experiments. Exposing humans to energy weapons, even at low levels, carries significant risks. There's also the issue of funding and interest. While the military and defense sectors have invested heavily in developing energy weapons, there's been less focus on understanding how humans might adapt to them. This leaves us with a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of room for speculation. One area where we do have some evidence is in the field of bioelectromagnetics, which studies how living organisms interact with electromagnetic fields. Some studies have suggested that low-level EMF exposure can stimulate cellular repair mechanisms and enhance the body's ability to heal. For example, research on pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, PEMF, has shown promising results in promoting bone healing and reducing inflammation. While this is a far cry from adapting to energy weapons, it does suggest that the human body has the capacity to respond to electromagnetic energy in beneficial ways. Could this be the foundation for future research into energy weapon adaptation? It's a possibility, but one that would require significant scientific investment and ethical oversight. As we explore these ideas, it's important to consider the broader implications. If humans could adapt to energy weapons, it would fundamentally change the way we think about warfare, defense, and even human evolution. It could lead to new strategies for protecting soldiers on the battlefield or developing technologies that enhance human resilience. But it also raises ethical questions about the limits of human experimentation and the potential misuse of such knowledge. These are complex issues that don't have easy answers, but they're essential to consider as we delve deeper into this topic. So, where does this leave us? We've seen that humans have a remarkable capacity to adapt to extreme environments and energy sources, from radiation to heat. We've also explored the tantalizing possibility that this adaptability could extend to energy weapons, though the evidence is still largely theoretical. But to truly understand whether humans are the only species capable of such adaptation, we need to look beyond our own biology. In the next section, We'll compare human adaptability to that of other species and explore why humans might be uniquely suited to withstand energy-based threats. Now that we've explored the potential for human adaptation to energy weapons, let's take a step back and consider how this compares to other species. Are humans truly unique in this regard, or could other animals also develop similar resilience? To answer this, we need to look at the broader picture of biological adaptation across the animal kingdom. While many species exhibit incredible abilities to survive in extreme conditions, there's something uniquely versatile about human adaptability, and it might just give us an edge when it comes to energy-based threats. First, let's consider some of the most resilient creatures on Earth. Tardigrades, also known as water bears, are microscopic animals that can survive in the vacuum of space, withstand extreme temperatures, and even endure radiation levels that would be lethal to most other life forms. Then there are extremophiles, microorganisms that thrive in environments like hydrothermal vents, acidic hot springs, and even nuclear reactors. These organisms have evolved specialized mechanisms to cope with extreme energy conditions, such as repairing DNA damage caused by radiation or producing proteins that protect against heat. At first glance, it might seem like these creatures are far more adaptable than humans. But here's the key difference: their adaptations are highly specialized and often limited to specific environments. Humans, on the other hand, have a broader range of adaptability that allows us to survive in a wide variety of conditions, from the freezing Arctic to the scorching Sahara. This versatility is rooted in our evolutionary history. Unlike many other species, humans didn't evolve to thrive in a single, stable environment. Instead, we've had to adapt to constantly changing conditions, from ice ages to droughts to the rise of new predators. This has given us a unique set of tools for survival, including our ability to regulate body temperature, our highly efficient sweat glands, and our capacity for rapid cultural and technological innovation. But perhaps the most important factor is our brain. The human brain is not only capable of problem-solving and creativity, but also of driving physiological changes in response to new challenges. This combination of physical and cognitive adaptability sets us apart from other species, and it might be the key to understanding our potential to withstand energy weapons. But let's not discount the role of technology. While other species rely solely on biological adaptations, humans have the unique ability to augment our natural resilience with tools, clothing, and even medical interventions. For example, astronauts use specialized suits and equipment to protect themselves from the harsh conditions of space, including radiation and extreme temperatures. Similarly, firefighters wear heat-resistant gear to withstand intense flames. Could we develop similar technologies to protect against energy weapons? Absolutely. In fact, some researchers are already exploring the use of energy-absorbing materials and electromagnetic shielding to defend against directed energy attacks. But here's where it gets interesting: what if we could combine technological solutions with biological adaptation? Imagine a future where soldiers are not only equipped with advanced protective gear but also trained to develop physiological resistance to energy-based threats. This hybrid approach could revolutionize the way we think about defense and survival. Of course, this raises the question of whether other species could achieve similar feats. While animals like tardigrades and extremophiles have impressive survival skills, they lack the cognitive and technological capabilities that humans possess. This doesn't mean they're inferior, it simply means their adaptations are different. For example, a tardigrade can survive in space, but it can't build a spaceship. A thermophilic bacterium can thrive in boiling water, but it can't design a heat-resistant suit. Humans, on the other hand, have the unique ability to both adapt biologically and innovate technologically. This dual capacity gives us a significant advantage when it comes to facing new and unprecedented challenges like energy weapons. But let's not forget the ethical implications. As we push the boundaries of human adaptability, we must also consider the potential consequences. What happens if we develop technologies or training methods that enhance our resilience to energy weapons? Could this lead to an arms race, with nations competing to create ever more powerful weapons and defenses? And what about the risks to individuals who undergo experimental treatments or training programs? These are complex questions that don't have easy answers, but they're essential to consider as we explore the possibilities of human adaptation. So, where does this leave us? We've seen that humans are uniquely versatile in our ability to adapt to extreme conditions, both biologically and technologically. While other species have their own impressive survival skills, they lack the combination of physical, cognitive, and technological adaptability that sets humans apart. This suggests that, when it comes to energy weapons, humans might indeed be the only species capable of developing meaningful resistance. But to fully understand this potential, we need to look at real-world examples and scientific research that shed light on how this could work in practice. Please do subscribe for more interesting stories.